All right, so we are back for day 4, because remember we started this surface area evaporation investigation 3 days ago. So remember, let's kind of recap what we did. I took 4 different containers. I have a beaker, a graduated cylinder, a dome lid, and a flat top. I measured to make sure it was consistent. I measured 25 milliliters of water into each container. Right, so each one, right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each 4 of these containers got 25 milliliters of water measured into them. Then what I did is I let them out to see how much water would evaporate after 4 days. I did this on a Friday, so we had Saturday, Sunday, and so it's been about 2.5 days that I've left these out just to see how much water would evaporate from them. So we made predictions about which container we thought would have the most amount of water evaporate from it. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to measure. We're going to use these other graduated cylinders to track how much water is left in our containers after 2.5 days. So in order to start, there will be a picture for you to look at to refer, but we should have this surface area table. All right, in this surface area table, we have the starting volume, the ending volume, and evaporate water volume. And we have each container. We have graduated cylinder, we have the beaker, the dome lid, and the flat lid. So we know what the starting volume of each for each container was. It was 25 milliliters of water. So you could put 25 milliliters of water right here because we know that each container started with 25 milliliters of water. But now we're going to see how much water evaporates. So I'll start with let's start with our graduated cylinder. This is one we already have. We started with 25 milliliters of water. Now, if you look, not much has evaporated. There's about 24 milliliters of water left. So the ending volume for our graduated cylinder is 24 milliliters. So you're going to put that data in your journal. Now let's go with our beaker. All right, we started with 25 milliliters. I'm going to pour it in. Let's look at our beaker. Can you see? Here is the line for 20 milliliters, and it is below our line. I will also be posting pictures of this. It looks like there's about 19 milliliters of water left. All right, so this, for the beaker, we started at 25 milliliters of water, and now we ended up with about 19 milliliters of water. Next, I'll take the dome lid. I need to be very careful not to spill. All right, let's look at our dome lid. Remember, dome lid, everything started with 25 milliliters of water. Let's look at where the water is here. Can you see it? All right, it looks like we have about 10 milliliters of water left in the dome lid. So our dome lid started with 25 milliliters of water, and we're ending with 10 milliliters of water. And finally, we have our flat lid. I'm going to have to fold this. All right. Probably going to have to take this out. Our flat lid. Look at this. Our flat lid. There is not much left. We started with 25, and we maybe have 4 milliliters of water left that was originally in our flat lid. So, you have all the information. All right, our graduated cylinder started at 25. It ended at about 24 milliliters. Our beaker started at 25, and it ended at about 19 milliliters. Our dome lid started at 25, and it ended at about 11 milliliters. And our flat lid started at 25, and it ended at about 4 milliliters. Then you're going to have to figure out how much water in total evaporated from each container. And then look, the bottom, rank the surfaces in order from most evaporated water to least. So here, you're gonna figure out which container had the most water evaporated. That will be number one. And then you're gonna go from all the way to the container that had the least amount of water evaporate from it. Okay? So that's what we're doing in the surface area table, but then you have to go to another page. And there are a few questions I want you to respond to. I'm gonna have another picture of this for us so you can see what the questions are. You do not have to write the questions, I just want you to respond to these questions. My first question is, which container had the most water left, and which container had the least amount of water left? Second question, this is what we're trying to really figure out. How does the surface area affect the amount of water that evaporates? So what factor did the surface area, the amount of surface area of each container have, and the amount of water that evaporated? And the third question that you're going to be responding to in your journal, we know what evaporation is. And we already kind of answered about what role the surface area plays in the evaporation process. But I can think of at least one more contributing factor that would affect how much water evaporates. Can you think of another kind of variable that affects the amount of water that would evaporate from any container? We already know surface area, but what else could play a role in the rate of evaporation? Again, those are questions that you're going to be responding to in your science journal. You do not have to write those questions, but I will have a PDF file that has the questions written down for you. And all you have to do is label, all right, 1, 2, 3, and then just write your answers. You're going to upload all your work to Google Classroom. All right, kiddos, so that is the end of our surface area investigation. Thank you for all your hard work. Stay tuned.